Hey guys, today we're on lesson 9.2. We're going to start with task 1 and we're looking at understanding the substitution method. Alright, so if you remember, we are looking at systems of equations, and a system of linear equations just means two or more linear equations. And remember, a linear equation is just an equation of a line. Alright, it says you can solve systems of two linear equations using the substitution method. The first step in this method is to solve either equation for either variable. In some systems, one or even both equations may already be solved for one of the variables. The system of two linear equations shown involves two equations given in slope-intercept form. That is, both equations are already solved for y. Alright, so we have y equals x plus 2 and y equals 3/4 x plus 3. Alright, it says the first equation shows that y is equivalent to the expression x plus 2. So x plus 2 can be substituted for y in the second equation. Alright, so what they're saying is, if I can get my pen to work here. Alright, substitution means if y equals x plus 2, we can take this x plus 2 and just replace y in the second equation with that. When we do that, we have x plus 2 equals 3/4 x plus 3. That way we only have one variable, and it's easy to solve. Alright, it says select the phrase that correctly completes the statements explaining an alternate strategy. The second equation shows that y is equivalent to the expression. So the second equation, 3/4 x plus 3. So this expression can be substituted for y in the first equation. So we could take that and substitute it in the first equation. All right, it says what equation results by substituting x plus 2 for y in the second equation? After the substitution, only the variable x remains. Perform the steps needed to find the value of x using the equation justified. All right, so let's do that. It says go ahead and use substitution. So we're going to take x plus 2, and we're going to put x plus 2 in for y in the second equation. And then that's going to equal 3/4 x plus 3. And it said go ahead and solve the equation. So let's subtract 3/4 x from both sides. Alright, so when we have 1x, that's like 4/4. That's 1 whole x is 4/4. So 4/4 minus 3/4 is 1/4 x. It's going to cancel here. We still have this plus 2. And we have equals 3. Now we want to subtract 2 from both sides. So we have 1/4 x equals 3 minus 2 is 1. And then to get rid of that 1/4, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. If you multiply by the reciprocal of 1/4, that's 4/1, which is just 4. So 4 times 1/4 is 1, so we have x equals 4. Alright, so once you find x, you could plug that back in. X plus 2 equals y. So y equals 4 plus 2, or y equals 6. So your solution would be 4, 6. All right, so that answers B part there. And say, do you think the value of x will be the same if you use the second equation to make a substitution for y in the first equation? Do the work to verify your answer. All right, so we know that when working it out this way, we get 4, 6. So let's move this out of the way and try it the other way. Okay, so now they're telling us to work it the other way. They're saying take this and substitute it in the first equation. So if we do that, we're going to have 3/4 x plus 3 is equal to x plus 2. Now if you look at this right here, the only difference is that the 3/4 x plus 3 started on the right and the x plus 2 started on the left. Remember, I added the 4/4 when we were trying to add fractions. So we don't even have to work this to see that, yes, we would get the same answer if we do that equation. All right, it says, now that you know that the value of x, you can use the value to find the value of y by substituting into either equation. Okay, I've already done that as well. We found that y equals 6. And it says there is an advantage to choosing the equation. Well, I chose the easiest equation because there was no fraction, right? Because the equation contains no fraction, so it is easier to work. You can plug it into either equation to find the answer, but you always want to try to find the easiest way. All right, it says use substitution to verify 4/6 is a solution to the equation. All right, so we're going to say equation 1. If you look at equation 1, we're going to plug the values in. Let me write down equation 1 again. So equation 1 is y equals x plus 2. This was equation 1. And equation 2 is y equals 3/4 x plus 3. All right, that way I don't have to keep going back up to see what the equation is. All right, so it says use substitution to verify that 4/6. So we know that 4 is the x, 6 is the y. So we're going to put in 6 for y. So we're going to say 6, does 6 equal, and then x is 4. Does 6 equal 4 plus 2? Both sides of the equation are equal to 6. So that shows that 4/6 is a solution to the equation. So when we plug in our variables, it does work. This should be a y instead of a 6. All right, use substitution to verify 4/6 is the solution to the second equation. Okay, the second equation says y equals 3/4 x plus 3. So we're going to substitute 6 in for y again. So we're going to substitute 6 in for y. Does that equal 3/4 times x? X was 4 plus 3. The right side simplifies 2. So this would be 12 over 4. 12 over 4 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. Both sides of the equation equals 6. So that is correct. All right, that is all for task 1. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, continuing with 9.2, this is task 2. In this system of linear equations, both equations are in standard form. That is, both equations have x and y on the same side of the equation. So you can see here x plus 2y equals 3 and 2x minus y equals -1. So these are both in standard form. For this system, one of the equations needs to be solved for either variable before making a substitution in the other equation. Select the phrase to complete the statements. If solving for x, you should choose the equation. All right, so let's look up here. This one has just x, which means that's a 1x, and this one has 2x. So if we're going to solve for x, the first equation would be easiest because of the coefficient of 1. So it says if solving for x, you should choose the equation x plus 2y equals 3 because the equation has a coefficient of 1. And for x, so it will be easier to solve. If solving for y, you should choose the equation. All right, so this has a 2y and this has a -y. So if we add y to the other side, it would be just y, and then we could add 1. So if we choose the second equation, it would be easier to solve for y. because it has a coefficient of -1, and that would be the easiest. All right, so it says the process from this point onward is the same as discussed in task 1. Once you have found the numerical value for one variable, you may substitute it into either equation to find the value of the other variable. But one calculation may be a little simpler than the other. Select the equation to complete the statement. If your process led to finding the numerical value of y first, then choosing the equation x plus 2y equals 3 to find the value of x will be required fewer steps. All right, so this one requires fewer steps because x has a coefficient of 1. If the process led you to finding the numerical value of x first, then choosing the equation 2x minus y equals -1 to find the value of y will require fewer steps. I don't really love the way those are worded, but anyways. All right, so the solution of this system is the ordered pair 0.2 and 1.4. So that's your x and your y value. How could you use a graphing calculator to verify the results? All right, remember when we graphed the system of equations, we had to find the intersection point. So let's see what it says. Graph both equations on the same coordinate plane and find the point of intersection. Okay, that looks good. A graphing calculator cannot be used. That's not true. Enter both equations into a graphing calculator and look to see where their graph crosses the y. So the first answer is the correct one. So you graph each equation and find the intersection point, and it should intersect at 0.2 and 1.4. All right, that's all for task 2. If you have any questions, please let me know.